Okay, so I just want to give you an example of how you might give someone else feedback. It's going to be a little bit different because your sessions will be more comprehensive, but this is just a little session that I've got on my computer. And so, of course, these are the recorded audio files. The ones that are blued out at the moment are some suggestions that I've made. But this is basically how it came to me. So I'm just going to turn the master fader down a little bit, hit play. Alright, so first things first, the shakers have just been recorded very loud. And with, at the moment, just all the faders are at unity, and I've turned this down because I already know that these are quite excessively loud. Play again. And you can see that they're actually so loud that they're clipping. So when you're recording audio of any kind, you need to be careful to watch your meters and make sure that clipping isn't there. So if you have a closer look, let's zoom in, and there's very sort of clear signs of clipping here. So it sounds very harsh audibly, and it's clipping. So shaker, I mean, tamborine's going to be potentially harsh anyway, and then maybe made worse by the microphone, but particularly by clipping here. So first sort of main thing for feedback is just that the recording of this is too loud. Let's have a look at the levels of some of the other signals. So we'll just, I'm just going to take the processing off the vocals as well. Okay, so if we're looking at the metering, it looks like the guitar and vocals are sitting at a decent level for the way that they've been tracked, and the shakers are too loud. So, okay, so let's move on. I'm going to put this back at 0, and I'm just going to get rid of the shakers.
No love, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be.
Okay, so good separation. The vocals, you can hear a little bit of the guitar, but the vocals are definitely much more prominent than the guitar. So the mic technique used to record these was quite good in terms of separation.
No love, no.
And if we go to the guitar, same thing. So however this was recorded, done a pretty decent job of getting separation between the two different microphones. Alright, processing wise, so this is how the session or the vocals were processed when I got it.
No love, no, I will never be, thank the Lord.
So the reverb's inserted, which just means that when you change the wet and dry mix, you're actually reducing the amount of dry signal when you increase the percentage towards wet. So it can work, but there's probably a better way to do that.
No love, no, I will never.
The compressor, I think, is working reasonably well. It is compressing pretty hard.
No love, no.
With up to 12 dBs of gain reduction, so that's a bit extreme on vocals. And the EQ, I just put this band in. The EQs are not too bad, but there is probably a little bit of a build-up of these high mids, particularly around 8 kilohertz. So I'll suggest some different processing. This is how it sounds without.
No love, no, I will never be.
Okay, so I'll suggest a couple of things in terms of processing and suggestions for how maybe to mix this. Let's go through here. So if we turn the EQ, I've just done a filter and I've given a little boost here at around 160 just to give the vocal a bit of body. I've also brought up 4 kilohertz for intelligibility, and then I've tried to take a little bit of this 8.5 kilohertz out, because that's where I think it sounds a little bit harsh. If you go too far with this, it starts to just sound muffled.
No love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord, and I.
So you can take a little bit out there, but when everything else is in the mix, it can sound a little dull. So let's see how we go with that. And I've given a little boost, quite a big boost, at about 11 kilohertz, just to try and bring up the sort of air or breathiness of the vocals.
No love, no, no, I
So that's
will
without.
never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord.
And with it on. I tried a de-esser on this to help also reduce that kind of 8 kilohertz, but I found that it sounded a little muffled when it was in the mix. Let's have a listen.
No love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord.
So it sounds okay being on in solo, but when it's got the guitar going on, it can sound a bit muffled. I'll leave it on and turn it back off later if we want. And I'm also going for a bit of compression on this, but not too much. So let's...
No love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be.
So this compressor sort of kicks in and out fairly slowly, even with a fast attack and release. And it's not too drastic, but what I want to do is go further with the vocals. So I previously created a duplicate of that, so I'm just going to make that active. And I've left pretty much the same EQ, turn the de-esser off. I've got heavy compression with a really high ratio, and I'm really compressing this a lot. And I've also got the Sans amp on it, and I wanted that to sort of distort and give the vocals some more sort of body and some grit. So
no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord. There goes your friend, you see me so small, but I will win it again, Lord, all I'm saying.
Okay, so I'm just going for a heavily compressed sort of speakerphone, almost kind of vocal, and I'm just going to blend that in to the dry vocal. So let's solo both of them. So
no love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord.
Okay, so it's just in there sort of fairly
no
quietly.
Love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be.
Anyway, it's an idea to add a bit of sort of body and a bit of weight and grit to the vocals. Next is reverb. So let's just make this active as well. Whoops, show and make active. So I'm going to unmute that, and I've just solo saved the reverb. So if I hit play now.
No love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank.
Okay, so a sort of medium haul I've chosen with about 1 or 1.2 seconds, but a shortish decay just to not sort of muddy up the mix and to liven up the vocal a bit.
No love, no, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be, thank the Lord, and I will never be.
Okay, so there's a couple of suggestions for how to work on that in mixing. Let's have a look at the guitar now. So I'm just going to go into solo for this. Okay, so the guitar seems to have been recorded fairly well. It's a little dull, and it needs a bit of life to get it going. Without spending too long, I've cut a little bit of the low mids here at about 250. So I didn't want to take too much out because it needs a bit of body and warmth, and because there's no bass in the mix and there's no drums and there's no sort of real low end in the vocal, I can kind of really accentuate this. So perhaps recording with one microphone fairly close up, making use of proximity effect could help. And I've also given it a big boost at sort of 5 kilohertz to bring up a bit of this sort of string detail and clarity. So let's turn the dynamics off and just listen to that. So EQ without, guitar without, sorry. Okay, and then I've put some dynamics in. This is to obviously reduce the dynamic range and bring up the quieter parts of the guitar to fill it out a little bit. Without. Okay, so a bit of EQ and compression there to sort of fill out the guitar a little bit. And it's also been recorded mono, and I think it could do with a bit of stereo width. So let's duplicate that. Sorry, wrong thing, I'll just leave that cut for now. I've duplicated the guitar track also, which is here, and same channel strip, but I've also put some delay on there. So this is not the sort of delay that echoes or repeats. It's a very fast delay time, and I've used different delay times on the left and the right with sort of slightly different settings to get a bit of stereo width and a bit of a sort of chorusy type effect. So let's. There's that. Okay, so by itself it sounds pretty kind of disjointed and a bit weird, but it certainly adds some width. And then combined in with the other guitar, it helps to sort of fill out the sound a bit. So if we solo the two of them. Okay, so if we put it about there, it sort of like gives us this almost mid-side kind of processing. It's different, but we've got a strong kind of middle or mono-centered guitar, and then we can add in a bit of this sort of sides. And I added some reverb to the guitar as well, so if I unmute my send and my return. And on this one I've gone for a small room. I tried the plate, but I felt like it was a bit too bright and clangy, and there's some other options, but for this I don't want a noticeable reverb tail, so I've just gone for a short decay. So this is a suggestion for how you might process the guitar to make it sound different. Before. Okay, and with everything in the mix then.
I get lost in a world in a day, all I'm saying. You get trapped in a world in a day.
Now, the shakers are harsh, and I could try to fix them by sort of EQing that out. It didn't really work, and I just think that if something's been recorded and it's clipping this much, then my call would be to leave it out. So that would be my recommendation on that. Either re-record it or just leave it out of the mix. And that's a little bit of feedback on what is here and some suggestions on how to maybe go about mixing it.
I get lost in a world in a day, all I'm saying. You get trapped in a world in a day. I wish I could be just like that. No love, no, I will never be, thank the Lord, and I wish I could.
Alright, thanks for watching.